Ray Amaya outdoing himself on this Halloween. You've got a tale of two viewpoints there. You've got John LeBoutelier, former congressman, and State Representative Christy Zito. Kevin Miller in the morning. Blessed to be with you on KIDO Talk Radio. Happy Halloween, everybody. Hope you have a safe and happy trick-or-treaters. And, of course, I don't think you're ever too old to trick-or-treat. Joining us now with a report on the ghouls and goblins from Washington, D.C., is our great friend Cassie Smedley, joining us from the RNC. Cassie, always a pleasure to have you on with us. Thank you for joining us. I know you're doing this across the country, so good to have you here in Idaho.
Of course. Thanks for having me. Happy Halloween. And I think we have all kinds of treats, no tricks, right?
Well, unless you're talking about the ghouls of the Democratic Party, and there are quite a few of them, in my opinion.
Well, fair enough. I was hoping to focus on all the treats of everyone who's going to go out and vote Republican next Tuesday, but that's right. We've got a lot at stake, and there are a lot of ghouls in the Democrat Party. Not just the Democrat Party, these are the activists that they continue to answer to, and it's getting more extreme by the day. And so that's why it's more important than ever. I know your state's got it handled, but across the country to vote Republican so we can keep all this winning going, because otherwise if we allow Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to get anywhere near the power gavels of the House and the Senate, it's just going to be bad news for Americans. And not much we know for sure.
No, it's we're a victim of our own success here. This Republican race for governor, you're probably looking at a 70-30 split. If only the rest of the country had it like Idaho.
I know. Thank you guys so much for being such reasonable folks who do your civic duty and pay attention to things. But it is going to be a tough election day. We know that. We've got close races across the country. But I am so excited about what we're doing on the ground in the Republican Party, and it's just unmatched in the Democrat Party. We've got over 200,000 volunteers across the country. They're making every Saturday that volunteers that go out, I think that's the big volunteer day of the week, 1 million phones and doors that get knocked every Saturday. It's more than we did for President Trump in 2016, and we were very proud of what we did in 2016. So that just tells you that there is the enthusiasm, there is the energy. People are connecting to that. We know what's at stake. Every time the president goes out and does a rally, which, he's been doing a ton of them, he connects that dot that says, you think, is your life better than it was 2 years ago? Do you have more money in your pocket? Do you have more jobs available in your community? Do you have more opportunities for your family and your kids? That's not a coincidence. That's because we've been working really hard. We've got an agenda that's been working really hard for you. So let's keep it going. And so 6 days in, it's hard to believe we're less than a week out, but we think we've got the momentum going into Election Day. We just need folks to get out and vote.
Cassie Smedley joining us from the RNC. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. So let's talk about some races in our parts of the country. Greg Walton looks like he's got it handled in Oregon. But in other places, we've got, big races in Utah and especially in Montana.
That's right. Of course, Montana is a spot we're going to see the president visit, I think, one more time before all is said and done. If not, for sure, his son will be there. But that Tester-Rosendale seat is one of the seats that we think we can flip. And every single time the president mentions Montana, the polls continue to push further in our direction, in Matt Rosendale's direction. So we are feeling good about it. Certainly, we think that Jon Tester has been a representative for his party over his state, so he's a good one to send back to his state personally. What's the other one you mentioned? You mentioned
Utah?
Utah? Yeah, of course, with Governor Romney now hoping to be Senator Romney. He's incredibly popular, and we feel good about our chances there. That'll be another great senator for the state of Utah. So it's interesting when you look across the country, for our side, especially on the Senate map, one after the other, it's great candidate after another, and they're doing what they need to do to make this happen. But other people that I think are really interesting to think about, going a little further away from you guys, but out in New Jersey, Bob Menendez, this long-held crooked senator in New Jersey, he's got a race on his hands. We think we might be able to pick that one up, and that wasn't on anybody's map. So next week is it's anybody's guess, I think, in a lot of these areas, but I think you're going to have a lot of people, just like they did in 2016, wake up the day after Election Day and say, oh, man, we missed it again. there are all these great candidates out there and this great Republican enthusiasm that the media has been trying to discount every time they get a chance. But what we're seeing on the ground with the early votes and, again, with that volunteer enthusiasm is beyond what we were seeing even in 2016. So get out and vote. But I think we're up for a really good night. That's the trick. At this point, it's just vote.
Yeah.
And everybody's made their closing arguments, I think. So now just go out and vote and make sure you're part of this, keeping this momentum going.
Yeah, see, let's get back to just what we're not hearing, and you touched on it a moment ago, ma'am, about the midterms and what the press is saying. Look, if the Republicans gain seats in the Senate and the House, it will truly be historic if the Republicans keep the House, considering, we're going against the historical trends, never mind the press and Nate Silver and who got it wrong 2 years ago and everybody else, gloom and doom. But you and others and the president have beaten history before.
That's right. I mean, you want to talk about defying history, which is our motto at the RNC. Just look at the president who hits the stump every day. And that's why the polls, which, by the way, have not changed their modeling, they have not changed their practices from 2016. Every day they go out with their numbers, and then you have the president saying, yeah, I remember when they said I only had a 5% chance of winning too. Let's show them once again that they're wrong. They are misreading the country. And, I think that's what, that to me, every single day, CNN, MSNBC, you name it, newspaper reporter, they're saying this is the issue that's going to drive the election, whatever national issue of the day. And there are a lot of things happening in our country and our world that we should be paying attention to. But in terms of what's driving voters to the poll, it goes back, all politics is local, right? Are you better off now than you were 2 years ago? I go back to, again, more money in your pocket, more job opportunities in your community. Do you feel good about the future prospects for your kids? And to all of those answers, it's yes. And if it is a yes for you, then you got to vote Republican. Because if we allow Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and any number of these other Democrats who are just going to go there and vote right along with them, they've said as much, to get in control of Congress, get majorities in Congress, they want to repeal the tax cuts. So that's more money of your money going away. They want to bring back all those regulations, the record number of regulations that Donald Trump has cut, 22 for every new one regulation. They want to muck up the process with investigations, meritless investigations. This is what the future is going to look like with them. None of that gets us to a better life for us, right? All of those priorities that they have are for them. They're not for us. And that's why they don't have a message. They don't have an agenda, certainly not one that's going to work for us. That's why we got to keep voting Republican so we can allow more of Donald Trump's agenda to get passed so that our lives can continue to get better.
No, and at 107.5 FM, 580 AM, Cassie Smedley joining us, Kevin Miller in the morning. You were giving us our trick-or-treat report. That's a lot of ghoulish activity when you're thinking of Maxine Waters and others who are, saying they're going to impeach the president, they're going to go after Judge Kavanaugh. And you think to yourself, and you guys are right in the midst of it, this is not going to help the country move on. We've got great economic times here, thanks to the president. And we've got all these other slappies that are going to just try and derail everything. And, I mean, again, Halloween is an appropriate time to have this report of what happens if the Democrats take over the House.
That's right, the tricks that they're going to play. And that's one thing to think about. People will say, come on, you got the White House. It looks like you're going to expand seats in the Senate. They can't really do that. Well, maybe it's not going to actually happen, but it doesn't mean they're not going to bring Congress to a halt trying to make it happen. Think about it. Maxine Waters, if Democrats get the majority in the House, she would be the chairman of the Financial Services Committee. Do you remember the last time Democrats chaired the Financial Services Committee? That was the economic recession. That was Barney Frank. That was too big to fail. That was bad news for our community banks. It was horrible for Main Street America. So think about that. Even when she's not spending her time trying to bring up impeachment proceedings, she's going to spend her time trying to shut down Main Street. It's really scary when you think about how quickly we could have people in positions of quote unquote power that will just take us so far backwards. And so, to your point, since it is Halloween, let's get all the ghosts out there. That's scary, right. And so, conversely, I love when the president talks about our record low unemployment and record enthusiasm and how many millions of jobs have come back to the country. But I love when he says we have more work to do. He's not resting on all of that. He's not saying good enough. I've done a good job. I can die a happy man. He's saying there's more to be done. Just imagine what we can do if you continue to entrust myself, being the president, and Republicans in Congress with the opportunity to continue to fight for you. And that is the opportunity that people have at hand, and that's the one that I hope people will take with them to the ballot box next Tuesday and vote for the opportunity to continue this great American comeback.
Yeah, see, we always appreciate your work. We love it when we have you guys on from the RNC, and I know you're very busy, so thank you for making time for us, ma'am.
Oh, my gosh, always a pleasure. I'm sorry my voice is a little strained, but we're enthusiastic and excited for next Tuesday. Thank you for all you guys do to help us out there.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Cassie's working so hard she's losing her voice.
All the Republican congressmen, they have been vilifying George Soros for years, and basically because George Soros is a rich Jew. And so when they talk about Soros, they're talking about a rich Jew who's in control of everything, or when they talk about globalists, which is the term that Trump prefers.
Right. This cooked up, phony caravan story that's promoted by Donald Trump and Fox News, members of Congress attaching that to George Soros and making it sound like, again, an anti-Semitic trope.
This caravan that Fox News and the president keep talking about, this guy had memes of it.
Is the Fox channel to blame for any of the violence and the heated rhetoric that we have seen this past week?
We do know that the hate crime coincided with a rise in hateful language, from the InfoWars fringe to Fox's primetime lineup.
The propaganda industry that she commands, with the vile president that she serves, abetted by Mark Levin and Rush Limbaugh and Breitbart and Newsbusters and Judicial Watch and all the rest of them, have blood on their hands for the incitements that they have made that have triggered and radicalized these crazy people. It is deliberate in intent.
There we have it. And by the way, true believers, when I hear this, it breaks my heart. You're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM KIDO Talk Radio. And if my mom's listening, Mom, I lost my phone, so I can't give you the good morning text. There's my personal announcement for the day. With a note of levity here, when you have people, and I've said this before, and I never thought that I would say this in America, that they're coming for us. Donald Trump has not destroyed the Death Star. Unfortunately, the Death Star has cloned itself, and they continue to fight. You heard those folks going after, the only people they didn't go after were us here in Idaho, the Kevin Miller Show, the Miller Militia, Sean Hannity, and expressing yourself and saying because Mr. Soros, as others have said on this program, has financed things, all of a sudden you can't say that in America today. As someone who loves America, loves people of all diversity, as long as you love America, those comments are so insightful when you take a look at them, and not in a good way. Can you imagine the liberal media if they just played it straight? Because you have some guy who's mentally deranged that killed a bunch of people, just like another guy who was mentally deranged killed a bunch of people in Charleston in a church there. It breaks our heart. And to blame conservatism, to blame people that say this caravan should not be coming to America, is just simply propaganda. They're going after the president. They want to shut it down. Just like Obama shut me down in Pittsburgh. Just like, I'll say, several hundred conservative talk show hosts locally lost their jobs during the Obama regime. And we see it in our public today. How many times, because the conservatives, the religious people, we just want to get along. We just want to turn the other cheek. We just want to live by the golden rule. We get it. The libs, you say something wrong, they jump down your throat. And Ray Amaya as my witness, I can remember joking about this when we had the second great cultural revolution or irrevolution in our country under Obama, rivaling the sexual revolution of the 60s. I said they're coming out of the closet, they're going to put us in the closet. And that's what has happened in America today. 50, 60 years ago, where you had mom and dad at home, today that's blown up. And we're going to see this in the midterms. They want to depress the Republican turnout. They want to say that Trump is crazy, that Republicans are wacko. They're blaming conservatism. Talk radio, Fox News, Newsbusters, Judicial Watch. It's like a who's who of all, who's on this show for the crazy, wacky bomber, for the person that will get the death penalty in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Can we just once, and I know this isn't possible, can we just once not try to politicize things? No, my wife, Mrs. Miller, always looks at me because I'm always having these kooky backups ideas. Because I believe there'll be a day when they'll come for me. I don't say that to scare you on Halloween. It's just my own personal belief. Unless you stand tall with the President of the United States. And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. Recently, we had someone make a run at me, calling the executives, the big executives, making allegations, totally false and slanderous, against me personally, trying to get me fired. And this goes on across the country. So at 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you take a look at this and you have people blaming conservatism. Why don't they take a look in the mirror? You know, why don't we blame social media? Or why don't we blame the person who is responsible for themselves? But the libs sense an opportunity. And we've seen this in history. We've seen this in the early 1900s. People calling the president a racist with no substantiation. They can't back it up. This is where we're going today. Because the president, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, is scaring these guys to death. And they know, because they came very close. They may still pull it off. They may still pull it off. But right now, it's up in the air. And as we said, we can't control the rest of the country. We can control Idaho and make sure the libs don't take over here. Okay, you've heard enough of me. Coming up, you with me, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. And here we are. Happy Halloween, everybody, talking about the ghosts and ghouls of Washington. Patriot Ray joins us now. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Patriot Ray.
Good morning, my good friend. I hope you're well and doing well each day.
Getting ready for Miller's mission.
Yes, indeed, and we're excited about that. So I always love to see Kevin at the mission, doing his best to help those in the valley here. You know, we're so blessed to have you here. We're so blessed to have the truth on a station that will actually let us talk and put out our point of view. And there's so many hateful people out there trying to stop everybody else from telling truth. The thing is that when Maxine Waters and some of the others out there, Feinstein, point their fingers at everybody, they keep forgetting that there are three fingers pointing at them when they're pointing one at somebody else. It's amazing to me that the left can't see what's really going on, although I do believe there are a lot of Democrats now who are reconsidering where they're at because of what they're hearing from their own party. The hate that spews from their mouths. They talk about what Trump is saying. He said nothing compared to what they have said except truth, and they cannot accept truth. And I just feel that as a people in this great valley, we need to make sure we get out and vote. We need to make sure we get out and let people know our position, because we're going to lose everything that we have in this great republic if we don't stand up for what's truth and what's right. This wonderful nation has done more for other countries and for other people and everybody we can. But yet the Dems want to have illegals come in and pay them for stuff that they've never earned, help them with their health. And I'm not against that, but I don't think they should stay here and just cross a border illegally. They need to come in the legal way like our ancestors have done. I just think that we've got to be upright and forthright in what is right in this great country, and quit letting these people control. There's only a small percentage that are making the big rules that are ruining our lives and ruining our schools. And our children aren't being taught history like we were. It's amazing to me that they want to change things to where it makes our country look horrible. That's all Obama ever did. He went around and apologized for everything, which he shouldn't have done. So, Kevin, you have a great day. We love you. We're grateful that you're here. We love Ray Amaya. He's such an awesome individual to bring on the people that you get to talk to every day. And we get to hear people that we wouldn't have had a chance to hear from, these great leaders who really want to make a change. And Russ Fulcher, you stay fired up. You're going to make it. We're going to get, we're not going to get all the Dems in there. They're trying. So I think we've got that red wave moving. Have a great day, Kevin. Thanks so much for letting me have my time this morning.
God bless, Patriot Ray. Take care.
God bless you, my friend.
All right. Bye-bye. Liberty Linda, hang on. You're next. Our time is 6:31 on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. And joining us now, our great friend John Decker, who probably remembers when this song was new and fresh and invigorating and exciting.
I do. When did that song come out? I don't remember when that song came out. There's no way that I was alive when that song first made the airwaves. When did that come out, Kevin?
You know, John Decker, I will work on that, and I'll get the Google machine between now and then. John Decker joins us from the White House, Fox News Radio. By the way, John, just kind of a throwback. Did you have a record player with the 33s and the 45s and the big albums back in the day?
I did. I had one of the, I don't even know what they call it, but the adapter for the,
right, yeah.
So that you could play it in your record player, to use an old school term. Yeah, I had that, absolutely.
Very different from just point and click today, isn't it?
It is. Much different. But the kids today have no idea what we went through, right?
Exactly. Only having 3 channels. By the way, Monster Mash 1962, brother.
Yeah, well, there you go. I was not alive when that came out, so.
Duly noted. So the president goes to Pittsburgh, obviously a solemn day yesterday, and it seems wherever the president go, people are talking, whether it's, remembering the victims or having other things to say.
Well, that's right, Kevin. I was with the president yesterday, traveling with him on Air Force One as we went to Pittsburgh, and it was a sad day. It was, the president has described it as very humbling and very sad, paying his respects to the 11 victims of that mass shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The president and First Lady were greeted at the synagogue when they arrived by the congregation's rabbi, also by the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., Ron Dermer. And there they lit candles in the vestibule of the synagogue. But the president and the First Lady did not go into the sanctuary itself. That's still considered a crime scene. And then afterwards we took a motorcade, Kevin, from the synagogue to a local hospital. There the president met with a widow and also spent time with police wounded while responding to Saturday's attack. So it was a very sad day. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's unfortunate that this happened. It's just sickening that people like this exist. And I think the president really had the right tone yesterday in terms of going out to Pittsburgh and paying his respects.
What was it like for you to go back to Western PA?
It's a beautiful part of the country for anybody who has not been there before. I was reminded of that, and it's been a while since I was there. Your listeners may be familiar with the fact that I used to work for the senior U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania many, many years ago, John Hines, who was killed in a plane crash in 1991. So he's from Pittsburgh. That's where H.J. Hines company is based, and it's a city as pretty as ever. And it's unfortunate that I had to go back for this particular occasion.
Yeah, John, I don't know if I share this with you. Bill Cowher on the NFL show really described the people of they have their unique language, the Yinzers, the Burgers, and they're very proud and they'll get through this. But having the president there, I'm sure went a long way. Meeting with the police, how do people get over this? But I mean, again, you're familiar with those folks, and they are resolute.
Yeah, well, they are. Not everybody, let's be honest, not everybody was welcoming the president. I saw quite a few signs yesterday which were critical of the president. The mayor of Pittsburgh did not greet the president. He felt that the president should have waited until after the funerals are held for all of the 11 people before traveling to Pittsburgh. That being said, I think the president did the right thing. In terms of traveling there. Sarah Sanders, who traveled along with us, said that the president wanted to show his respect on behalf of the entire country and to represent the country in this moment, and I think that's exactly what he did.
Indeed. Bill Peduto, a former councilman, now the mayor of Pittsburgh, actually did an episode of Undercover Boss. I know, John, you like these little things, so I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Anyway, John Decker, we always appreciate you. Until tennis season, I guess we'll just continue to cover the midterms. Any mood within the White House about what's going to happen next week?
I think there's some confidence as it relates to the Senate. There's a feeling that perhaps Republicans can increase by a bit, maybe 2 seats, their majority in the U.S. Senate. I tend to agree with that, that they can increase their majority from 51 to 53. The House, not as much confidence, quite frankly. And obviously we'll know on Wednesday, a week from today of next week, who will control the House and the Senate for the next 2 years. But the president, until then, is going to be doing quite a few events. He's going to be traveling today near Fort Myers, Florida, to do a campaign rally, and then he's on the road every day leading up to the midterms.
John, we appreciate you. Finally, which do you prefer, on the road or at the White House?
They're both good for different reasons. Obviously, as I just mentioned, I prefer not to be on the road for a trip like yesterday, very sad day. But it's always good to get out, to sort of get a sense about how the American people feel about the president. It's great to go to a rally because, quite frankly, we don't see that in Washington, D.C., the enthusiasm for President Trump. And I think, especially from my colleagues in the press corps that cover the White House, they need to see that. They think that everybody in Washington thinks like they do, and they don't. That's the reason why the president's in the White House.
John, thank you for your time. I know we've gone over, but thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot. No problem at all, Kevin. Talk to you real soon.
Okay, bye-bye. Our great friend John Decker, Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio.
We're the only country in the world where a person comes in, has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States for 85 years with all of those benefits. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And it has to end.
We first brought you that story, the president looking to say, we'll be seeing you to the 14th Amendment. We'll take your calls on that. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Liberty Linda, thank you for your patience. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. You're the only person that can get me up dancing the Monster Mash at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, it's all about Halloween, yes.
Anyway, Donald Trump is a dream. He is a dream that I and almost every one of us has been waiting to come along. And now he's even taken care of the 14th Amendment, which you and I know that the 14th Amendment never was for a person, if they could get their foot over the border and even have half of their body into the United States, doesn't make that baby a United States citizen. We know that. It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, everybody. You're right. You're right.
And he's even now, after all that he's done since he became president, even taking care of that. And yes, I think it was right for him to go there. It's all right. He's honoring every one of those people as we do. We don't want anyone to be hurt at all. And the horrible thing that went on, I mean, it's unbelievable. And, I wanted to say something about Hallowed Night. because that's what Halloween started out. My ancestors, my Irish ancestors, Halloween was called a hallowed night. It was a night that they honored the dead, their loved ones that I'm sure in your family you've had loved ones that have passed away. I have. They honored them and they loved them. And it was the one night they put aside to honor them. And so, well, today is quite different that we know. And although we do have fun, I've always had fun going out on Halloween. But it is changed into something quite different than what it started out as. So anyway, those are some of the things I wanted to bring up this morning, how I honor our president. I'm so thankful for him. And he's a dream. He's just a dream. And our dream has come to fruition in our president, Donald Trump. And you're a dream, too. You know, we don't just call in because we get to say the things we want to. We call in because we actually love you. You are a part of us. We honor Ray Amaya. We know the hard work he does behind the scenes, behind the curtain, kind of. And so anyway, I wanted to say those things this morning, how much we love you, Ray Amaya. We love your station. And we can state the things that we are concerned about in this country. And we need that medium, Kevin.
We appreciate you, Liberty Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, and you have an absolutely wonderful day. And be careful tonight.
I will be, rest assured, I will be home. So thank you.
Okay, Dorothy will like that, too.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up, a panelist on CNN says Donald Trump has radicalized more people than ISIS. And they let it go. Right now, the media blames the president, conservative talk show hosts, and Fox News for the Pittsburgh shooting. Hank in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank.
Good morning. For one thing, in this case, history is very important in understanding that the cause or the phrase within the Constitution, persons born in the United States are citizens of the United States in terms of that understanding. So a Mexican or anybody else can, for instance, have an anchor baby. That's not necessarily the case. When one studies the 14th Amendment, it was done in reaction by Senator Howard in the Senate and Thaddeus Stevens in the House in 1867 to basically overturn this Dred Scott decision that anybody that was born to black slavery or whatnot could not be conferred the rights of citizenship. And it was also to prevent the states from passing laws against the blacks, the reaction of the black codes that took place in the South immediately after this war, and also Andrew Johnson's veto of the 1866 Civil Rights Act. And there's no understanding in the 19th century jurisdiction that merely because a foreign national comes into this country that it makes their child, if they're born in the United States, an automatic citizen. There's no basis of it when one studies 19th century jurisprudence. There's also another thing that buttresses it up was Calvin Coolidge's act to declare Indians of the United States.
But how is that relevant to today?
It's relevant to today because, in a sense, the understanding that being born in the United States automatically confers citizenship. It's not necessarily the intent of the original framers of the 14th Amendment. It was to protect people who, like black slaves or people or their children, from court action or state action from declaring them to be not non-citizens. In other words, the reaction to the Dred Scott decision. And
what do you make of the president saying he can wipe it out with an executive order?
I think he has that power. I think he has that right. The problem you've got the expansive. The 14th Amendment's been abused for over a century, starting with Justice Stephen Field in the slaughterhouse cases of the 1870s on. The Supreme Court and the other courts have abused the meaning implied the 14th Amendment for intentions that was never originally intended for. I mean, we've got over a century of this, of bad court decisions in terms of abuse, just like the Commerce Clause has been abused by the courts. Very, very, probably arguably the most abused section by the courts of the Constitution. And the president has that, or I think the president can declare that right. Now you're going to have activist judges that are going to oppose it. But a reading of the debates of 1867 in Congress, particularly Senator Howard of Michigan, and also Thaddeus Stevens in the House, does not support their contention.
All right, Hank, thank you for the call. Let's go to Jason in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Jason.
Hey, Kevin, it's Jason from Boise. I just have some thoughts on this 14th Amendment thing. First of all, if you put everything aside about why it was written, who it was written, slavery, this and that, immigration, whatever, and you think about the concept of it, about being born on American soil and automatically receiving citizenship, if that's not the case, then what is? What else is it that makes a baby, a newborn baby, a U.S. citizen or not? Because his parents aren't from here? Because they came here illegally? He was still born here, okay? But check this out. Let's say my parents went on vacation to Mexico, and I was born in Mexico. So now I'm not a U.S. citizen? Well, seriously, where does it end, Kevin? That's all I got. Jason out.
Thank you, Jason. And why don't we react to Jason's comments next? A very different point of view from what we usually get here. Very insightful. Let's examine that next. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.